Hey, welcome back, everybody, to another episode of the Mesa International Film Festival podcast. I am John Martinez with, as always, Natasha Kenney. And today we have on a director, writer, and producer and also a journalist. On top of that, Alan Dell is with us today. Alan, how are you doing today?
I'm well. You forgot that I also coach sports. So
Ah,
multiple,
coach.
many. Yeah, I've been coaching for a long time.
What sport are you coaching?
I've coached college and high school varsity and underclassmen basketball. Um, this film that we did, a lot of people said you could see the coaching side come out because I was
Oh,
very
nice.
get it done, stop talking, let's go. It translated well, I thought.
Oh, nice. So like with every good origin story, to let everyone else out there, take us back to the very beginning. When was that moment you had where you said, I think I want to get into this film industry business and tell a story? When was that?
Well, that's a really weird bag because like 20 years ago, I did a couple shorts. The first one, it went well, but the problem is our sound guy screwed it up and it just messed it. We didn't know until after we were done, and I was like, ugh. So that was a bummer. And then we did another one, which I would like to redo it, and it was in an homage to my father, even though I used a girl for the character, and we got great performances. I mean, I have a trailer of it still that's still up because the kid was amazing, but my producer kind of screwed up and budgeted. And then I had a executive producer who was giving us money, and then we were like, it just burned it out, and we had 5 shots that we needed that we never got, and even what we had, we couldn't put it together. It really burns me because that young lady was so good, and even our current cast, they watched some of it and they were like, you could see she's good, and it just angers me because and everybody was good, but she was dynamic. And so when this came about, this was more of an act of therapy. I had lost officially everyone in my life. My whole family's dead. And my cat was getting sick, and I'd had her for a long time, and she eventually died. And I started thinking about what I'd lost. And there's a woman in my life that means more to me than anything, even though right now we don't like each other per se, but we still love each other. And this story was about her. And I just started writing one day last March, and like 25, and I just pounded it out, and I put it in the copyright and all that stuff. And but I just did it. I mean, I've always thought I could do it because, I mean, if I may say, I'm considered kind of a safe person when it comes to certain things that most men are not always considered to be. And I would have people tell me that I would have been a great presence on a set because all that crap you hear about, yeah, that don't happen around me. Like you ain't gonna pull that crap, dude. I will knock you out. I will end your career. I will make sure you suffer. And these women know it. And so that would have been kind of like one of those things. I would just brought it, but I didn't do it. But I was like, I want to at least do this, and that's where we're at.
Awesome. And so let's fast forward to today.
Uh-huh.
Your project, Never Gonna Leave You.
Uh-huh.
How did you get into that? Tell us about that.
Well, it's been an interesting adventure. I was, living out just outside the area of Tucson, about 4 hours away in Bullhead. I went there for a coaching job that was kind of goofy, and I just left. I resigned. The kids were great, but the school was weird. And so I just started asking around. Is there anybody? I asked in Vegas, I asked here, but I kind of leaned toward Tucson because I went to school here, and I had certain things here that I could just go right back to, and I had some friends or whatever. And so I decided to come here. And so what I did is I started posting things up like, hey, I'm looking for someone who can help me make this. Now I had some interest immediately. I had people approach me and want to help produce it. I gave people some opportunities to show what they can do. It's like kind of like an informal tryout, and just started feeling it out. I did meet my director of photography through this process, even though it was just a casual, like, hey, call the guy. And then she and I connected, and I really liked Lauren. I think she's really really smart, and she had a lot to say. And I said, I think we should do this. And then I signed her. And so we just slowly kind of tried to figure this out. We fixed up the script. I kind of wrote it in a way that I knew we had to fix it, but I wanted to see what people would see. So the ending is completely the same exact context, but it's a different scene. I eventually landed on the top producer candidate, and we started going with it, and we filmed it in February, and here we are.
Nice. So, Alan, when you're starting a new project or the project now that you got done, what is your process? Like, what are you focusing on to tell this story about it?
Yeah. No, I get it because I have like 8 or 9 scripts I wrote back in the early 2000s. A couple actually got optioned, and then the crash happened. I have a vanity about originality. I know Natasha's heard me say it. I mean, modern filmmaking, at least here, is repeats, sequels, reboots, remakes. I mean, there's no risk taking from the major industries, and they still dominate. What I do is I'll go through a story idea and I'll go, okay, here are my major terms. Here's what I'm thinking. Can I find anything that connects? If I even see one title that sounds like it, I won't do it because I refuse to be compared to somebody else. And so when I wrote this, I was like, I don't think this has ever been done like this, the way it starts. Like the start is what makes it different. And I did a background on it, and it does not appear. And I've even done it recently with the AI helping me too. Has a movie ever started this way, or a TV show ever started this way? Because it's technically 4 mini films in one series. They're like all standalone in a way. But I found out that nothing has ever started like this before, ever on the planet. And so I was like, okay, let's roll with this. My editing friends and newspaper former bosses read it, and they're like, you wrote this like a newspaper story. Like you literally have a full circle, you have the ending and the beginning, you have no holes in it. So I'm really trying to write it from a perspective of these are the main principal characters, but all their issues could be something that could affect so many people in their own little ways. Because I think this is a story about trauma. It's not about the trauma, it's about the aftermath. And a lot of people don't understand the title. They think it's people leaving each other. No, it's in the back of your head. And once you've experienced it, it's never going to leave you. We deal with what the aftermath of not dealing with it right is and what it can do, and we're hoping to get to the end and film it so the world can see what our solution is. Because I think we have a solution. It's not for everybody. It's not going to work for everybody. But like I said, I mean, if we're not going to save the world, but maybe we can save yours.
Yeah, and you bring up a great point. It's like the stuff that's getting pushed out right now in in Hollywood, it's just the same stuff over and
Cliche.
over. And like you look to see what's playing in the theater, and it's like there's literally nothing I even wanna go to. You don't even remember the stuff that you see nowadays, and so my question to you is, like, your film, it's about generational trauma. That's a pretty heavy, theme, you know? So, like, how did that come about? Like, what made you say, like, I have to get this story out there, and who did you have in mind when you're writing it? Like, who's your audience for it?
The world. I mean, this has been a problem since civilization, and it's a worldwide problem. When you deal with this topic or a topic like this, you have to find a way to make it, sorry, understandable to the audience as a whole. I'm not going to tell somebody else's story, but I can tell one that I think others relate to it. And in terms of the generational trauma, it's a heavy subject. But what I was trying to do is, say, hey, this came about because of the woman this is about. She's always been targeted. Once a victim, you're usually a mark. And because of who she is and what she was and what she looked like, I mean, she was a major target all the time. And the irony is, just yesterday, I heard from her. And so she was this person that I said, she went through all this, and my family went through a lot. Like half my family went through the Holocaust, and my dad was abused since he was adopted. And I was informed of all this at a very young age, like 6. I was being a brat. My grandpa slapped me. no, America, don't go after my grandpa. He's dead, and I approve. He should have slapped me if I was in the position again. Here you go, grandpa, right here. I deserved it. It's the only time I ever got slapped. But then I got the lecture about, you don't know what suffering is. You don't know this. And I'm like, holy crap. And then as I got older, a little older, I got more context, asked more questions. So what I learned at an early age was there's a difference between me being a butthole and them having a bad day. But because I had context, I knew how to ask, hey, Dad, you okay? But because they had already shared it with me, they didn't feel as, ooh, I can't talk to my children. They would tell me. And so I'd be like, oh, okay, so it's not my fault. So I never left any of these weird altercations taking the brunt. Most parents that are bad parents, they love their kid. They just don't love themselves. And they transfer it. So when it came to her, she had the same horrible situation. As she became a parent with somebody else, she married another gross human being. They had kids. Those kids kept her alive. But the one thing she did, she transferred her stories to these children at a very young age also. As they got to a certain point, she told them, I'm going to be weird. She wanted to give them context. She didn't want them to carry that burden. So she told them, and they are now, I've never seen a family like this. I've never seen 4 kids love their mother like that. I was friends with them at periods of times, and they know what she went through, and they're like, what a woman. Yeah, she's messed up, but she puts that all behind her to raise us. So that generational problem has been cut from her end. The dad's a little bit of a sketchy dude. They're out of it. But the thing is that she controlled that narrative, so they understood, this isn't you, this is me. Don't take it personally. And she's a hero to me. She's a hero. And that's why I'm trying to do this, because I think, those kids will have their own things they got to deal with on the other side, but she did such a great job. And I'm thinking, why can't we tell more people this to save some children and their children and their children? And that's what we're trying to get to at the end, because that resolution at the end is the whole point. And we have one line that I can't tell you, but it's the line that everyone who's read it has said, that's the line that has to get out. Because if you could say that line and we can get it to the world, that will change people.
Alan, that sounds incredible. And usually those stories we tell that we end up making films are personal. They tend to resonate with more people that may or may not know. And when they do watch this, they'll say, okay, someone else has experience with it. Therapeutic to see where it is, where some may not have that outlet. But because of your story, now you're on set. How did you get that as a director to get those characters in your movie, to get that, emotional truth out, to capture on the screen, to keep your story going?
I'm glad you asked it, because I was actually thinking about it today, and it's like, I'm blessed, you know, and I really try to take little credit. I always do. That's just who I am. But like the 4 principals that got the job, and even our day actors, like Darren Wright and Dom Pirlo, and these guys that did this, these one day parts, that I was like, you need to elevate this, because you're going to trigger things. You're going to be this. And when they knew the story, I said, you may be just a one day guy. You're huge. And I kept telling them, you're huge. Do not undersell it. Without you, we can't go forward. And so they got that. And so those guys took it seriously. Even the one kid at the high school that's just part of the crowd, just like, what are you doing? Like, even his reaction is so good, because he's like, this is not a good thing. You do not want to have these 2 people see each other right now. And it was just boom. But the 4 principals, we had the 2 kids, Jackson Marlowe first. They're wow, just wow. 2 brilliant young people. We rehearsed a lot on FaceTime, and Marlowe's only 10. Well, she turned 11. Happy birthday, And she's brilliant. She's in Mensa. She's a very smart kid. And her parents kept the subject matter from her for a while, but that kid ain't stupid. And she kind of put it together, and she ended up, I think she read it with her mother. So she knew everything, and Jax knew everything. And Jax, shoot, he dissected the whole thing. He's crazy. And so with those 2, they really understood the weight of it, because they got to the end and they're like, oh my, like, this is huge. And then they're like, we're so important, because if we don't deliver believability, then all this, we put more pressure on Douglas and Ava to carry the weight, and it's like we need to kind of transition it. And they were like, we have to get to that ending by making our beginning what it is. Like they both figured it out. If we don't deliver this, the ending doesn't have the same plausibility. So if you show these two kids who are literally in this incredibly messed up situation, him through osmosis, hers directly, and the aftermath, it's like, well, then it doesn't sell. And then so they were just both bought in. And God bless Marlo, but I think as she got to know a little bit more about Christy, the real Christy, and she saw her pictures, and it really made her kind of, I thought, subconsciously become very protective and wanting to respect her and other victims like her. And when she got to set, she took it to Mach 9. I mean, it was just like, where'd that come from? And even Jax was like, because he's got more experience, he's like, what did I just watch? Like, she was so good. As far as the adults, well, they're adults. They've experienced more. Ava had, Douglas had, and I think with the women, young and older, they related to being a woman in that position. That would suck. And thankfully, they haven't had that experience, but they understood it. And Marlo, just when she saw her picture and she got to know more, and she heard that she's been around longer than her own parents have, and she's still struggling. And I think it broke her heart. And so, I think that's where we got them. And the men, they know my perspective because they're playing my perspective. And it's, you're not a white knight. You can't be a white knight. But in the beginning, a lot of people are. My real spirit animal will be the husband of the daughter later, because that's who I am more than anything. But the need to protect, the need to be there, you wish you had been, that's me also in the beginning.
You have an incredible cast. Like, without a doubt, every single person that you cast, because I had the opportunity to see a little bit more than what's
The
out
more,
there.
yeah,
And I mean, Darren, right? We know Darren. We actually were introduced by Darren. He's an incredible actor, and like he will elevate any scene, and even just having those really young kids, teenagers, bringing something so powerful
pre
to screen. And
pre preteen, preteen.
yeah, yeah,
So
like they're kids, but they really shouldn't even know anything about this topic. But when you see them perform, they really bring it and they sell it. Um, I want to just transition a little bit because I know you're in post production. I know there's a trailer out. Talk to me about that. I know, what are you doing now that you're in post? You have your first episode done. You're kind of like a YouTube sensation.
as far as we're in post, but we're kind of in post, like we're done with what we needed to do. I'm not gonna lie, we had some challenges. I'm driven, I'm perfectionist, and I think if you get paid even $15, you work hard for the 15 to prove that you can make the 50. You work above your standard. You're not going to get attention if you do a $15 job at $15. You're going to get attention doing a $100 job at $1,000. That's how you get noticed. So, we still have some cleanup to do, but I think we have it where we want it for now. And if anyone wants to team up, we can clean it and get it perfect and then mass. But we're pretty much in post. Now it's just, let's see what we're starting to pitch it. It's been interesting. A lot of people, especially the Americans, they have all the excuses in the world. But the foreign companies are a lot more interesting. Like they'll tell us, hey, I really like this. Like this sounds really good, but we don't do this type of subject. But they're more encouraging. They're like, you got to get this. Some of them have almost been like, you got to get this out. But the Americans are doing this. Even in the film festivals, we've already gotten a couple recognitions, but they're in India and France. The Americans, they will send you a rejection and they won't even give you a reason when you ask. And then I look at the counter, they're not even watching it. So they're reading the synopsis and I'm not touching this. What do you got to hide? Okay, come on. What are you hiding? Are you worried that we're coming at you? Are we coming at all the pedos out there? Are you hiding something? I can't say they are, but why are you so reluctant to even watch it? That's a little suspicious if you ask me. It doesn't make sense. And it goes back to what we said, the safety. Well, they don't realize that the film industry for years has always turned on the dime when somebody took a risk or did something that was, whoa, what's this? Hey, Star Wars. Hey, Godfather. What happened to Baby Jane? I mean, Psycho. I mean, all these movies. Oh my God, those things have turned the dime. But it's the first time in the filmmaking industry I've noticed, just by my study, that they're literally trying to blackball anything that makes the narrative change. They're not even looking at it in most cases. So all we have to do is find one. And I know there's someone out there. But if we don't find it, we'll do it, as you said, through YouTube and other things. I'm not going to sit here and be dependent on somebody. If I got to get it done, I'm going to get it done. I'm just going to get it done. And I think that's where the YouTube thing came in. It gave me some good data points, and that's where we're at. I think we're now just, let's see what happens. My producer, Mark Headley, he's doing some stuff to try to get more eyes on. We have our premiere coming up in July, end of July at the Galaxy, just a small, quaint setting. Didn't want to go too crazy, didn't want to charge, just do that, because I think we need to get it out, because there's definitely a stonewalling of this subject. They don't want it out, and there's a reason. What that reason is, well, we'll try to poke holes in it. That's our goal.
Everything you're saying is, spot on. You look at The Godfather, no one wanted to make the movie because it dealt with the mafia and everyone kind of stayed clear. And you look at all
Yeah.
these classics, if you read the backstory and realize what these people went through to get their passion across the finish line, it's like they literally scraped, scratched, and fought to get it there. And once it's there, then they're like, oh, it's a masterpiece. There is not one film out there that you would see, whether it's Star Wars, Forrest Gump, or anything else. No one wanted to ever make any of these films, but it's that dedication that you have to get it going. You push through to just keep going there. And eventually you're going to have that audience. And like you said, you're going to change people's minds on how to do that. They just want to be safe. They're risk averse. So it's like, let's make Scream 25 because we know it's a good IP and we're going to do that. But it's always, like you said, there's going to be one of those mavericks that's going to take a chance on you that's going to do that. But with your story too, like right now, this is just the first one. I believe, is this the first of 4 going on?
Yeah.
So is there plans
Yeah.
for the second one? Are you working on that?
Well, I mean, I'm just in a holding pattern. I want to see where we can go. I'd like to raise the money independently, because I took a risk. I bet on me. I took 1/4 of my retirement toward this. And with the economy what it is, I'm probably going to be homeless in 5 years. So, but yeah, we have 4 planned. Just to add on to Natasha earlier, she said we had a trailer. We have technically we have multiple trailer teaser forms. We actually have at least 50 or 60 sneak peek videos all over the place. So that's another thing we've been doing. Um, but the idea is to do the 4. The first one deals basically with the initial reaction to trauma. It's been dealt with. We never really see it ever again, because it starts with the conversation about it, and then of course the boy tries to fix it, and then he gets brought into it, and then it becomes they're sharing the trauma. There's a lot of principal conversation between the two of them as they're older, and even when they're younger. It's only these two people throughout most of it, with a couple blips here and there. And it's like, the point is, you're trying to show how two people can be so connected, but they still don't connect. There's always, you could feel that she's saying something, he's trying, she's always hinting, he can't quite get it. And it's that you're listening to words and you're thinking about what you're going to do rather than really paying attention to the cue, and that's what Ava did so great. I mean, I predict in 5 years that girl's going to blow up, because she's so smart. And I even told her after we were done, I watched the footage, I'm like, you nailed it, because there's these little lines that she read that were written the way they were to kind of imply he thinks it's one thing. She says, sure, okay. But it's almost like she's going, not quite. I'm not that much better, but she doesn't know how to say it, even when they're kids. And it's his inability to see beyond that. And then the second one would be, they're married after some pretty bad stuff in the end of the first one, but they're still married, and they love each other, and they have a child. And it's now what happens with the kid, because the kid, like most kids, being a daughter, she's going to clock her mother. She's going to clock her. She already can see there's something off with her mom. Her mom's great, loves her to death. They both love her to death, but she's clocking it. She's like, there's something missing. Then they'll end with a cliffhanger as well. But they're all self-contained because Buffy started that back in the 90s, the long series season, but then each story had its own standalone, but it's part of the arc. That's what we're doing. And then the third would be obviously when everything goes to, and it's more about the father-daughter relationship at that point and not communicating. And then the fourth will become the daughter saying, I'm done with this. I got to figure out what the heck happened. We're going to fix this somewhere, somehow. And she realizes, I got to fix the future. And ultimately, it's going to be the granddaughter who's the hero, even though she's only going to be in it for like a minute and a half or 2 minutes, but she's the hero. And there's a reason for it. And in fact, the two kids that we have said when they read it was really funny because they're already like, we want to see where our granddaughter's going to be. Like, they're all like, it's pretty funny. But they were going, man, whoever is that kid, she only has like 10 lines and she better be great because it's got to be so believable that she gets the message. Because if she doesn't, then the whole thing was a waste. She has to be so convincing that essentially she's the same age as her mother was when things happen, and then her grandmother was when she told her grandpa. So it's generational. But she's got to be the one that looks the strongest, the best, the healthiest, and goes, nope, nope. She got to be great. Like, she's got to be great. So we got to get good people, and so far we're 1 for 1, and you know we'll see. I mean, we have 2 of them for at least a while longer, but we're gonna have to add pieces, and that's where we're at.
You actually stopped working to fully focus on this passion project, right? And
Same.
that's incredible because how many people have the ability to do that? I mean, if you're in the film industry, you know most actors have full-time jobs and,
Yep.
writers and directors, like, they're wearing a lot of different hats as well. So a really big part of creating the film is pushing it out there for people to see and making people aware that your project exists. And so how do you market that? Because not many people have that skill set. If you're a writer or you're a creator, that's your skill set. And the business and the marketing side is kind of foreign to a lot of people. But again, you have a really good recipe on marketing your project.
Well, like, and to correct you, I did work a little bit for the first 9 months. I was still stringing for newspapers, but this part of the 26, I was like, okay, shut down. I'm just working because now we were filming and whatever. But what basically a lot of this comes down to, and I mentioned it right off the bat when I said I also coach. Well, I also had coached college basketball for multiple years, and even recently was just kind of helping a program with certain things. Well, one of the things I did was recruit, and I know how to market the programs. And in fact, my two schools I worked with as a college coach, we had the one team had the best record they had had in a decade with the group I brought in, and another one made their first ever national tournament in history. As a manager of a newspaper, you got to promote. When I was a sports editor, I took over a Twitter account that had like 70 followers over 7 years. And I was like, what is this? And within like 6 months, we were at 3,000, and it's in a small area. But what I realized with this was, and I'm glad I have an opportunity to talk about this because there could be people out there that have the same thing. You sometimes want to gauge interest by even if you put feelers out and it may not be totally authentic, you still want to kind of see what the response is. So what I did is I created the YouTube channel, and I just started throwing out AI stuff, like just little AI imagery. Like, first one was 3 seconds, and put it out there. Did a few more. Then I started going, okay, I'm going to promote it, just a little bit. So like, so that's the thing I have to always tell people. There's a difference between paying for subscriptions and buying, you know, views. I didn't do that. I didn't go to a farm. I just paid like $20 because that's my limited budget at the time or whatever. Put out the advertisement, see what happens. And I would do that. And the shorts I came up with some better ones as I got better at the AI stuff. I'm not a big fan of AI, but I see where it can help things if you use it correctly. Some of the people around me in the beginning were like, I don't know if I like this. Like, well, I don't care what you think. I'm going to do it. And so by the end of January, it had nicely gotten to about 10,000 subscribers, and we had about 230,000 views. I was like, okay. But then I let it die because I was too busy. I just said, okay, we're good. I'm not going to do anything for a while. I'm just going to let it sit. and it slowly kind of started to flatline, which I was totally prepared for, because I said, okay, enough of that. We got to start putting the live stuff out. So as soon as we got this done, I started putting tiny little things. I started doing BTS, some interview with me, updates, whatever, and they started to do this. And then once we had like full trailer, teaser, whatever, I started promoting it. It went poof. So between the middle of March and middle of June, we suddenly added 50,000 subscribers in less time, in half the time, and we also added 1.6 million views in half the time. But like I had mentioned to you, Natasha, we have to also quantify it because it's not totally authentic. A lot of these came from advertisement. So when you see it, you're, oh my God, like we're in the top, 2.5% of all YouTube channels on the planet now with all those metrics. But here's the thing. What happens is you have to not just look at it at its face value. You got to say, okay, how did I get this? So what I found out is that the views, the subscribers, more important. Our subscription to view rating is good. It's a conversion of about 3 something percent, which is actually right above average. Our likes to dislikes, when people actually click it and watch it and decide to, is in the upper 90s. Like we're in the 97 percentile. That's not normal. Like we're not getting dislikes. In fact, the only thing I'm getting a lot of dislikes now, which is normal, is I created like a soundtrack with AI. I actually wrote the prompts. I went nuts on it. I didn't just go, hey, make a song. I literally went nuts, wrote the lyrics, did all this stuff. Those, music's music. People are gonna be like, I don't know if I like it, but the actual footage is all in the upper 90s, all of it. And so that's it. And then also our whatchamacallit, likes to views gets a high percentage. So even though you're paying for that promotion, they still have to choose to click to subscribe. They still have to choose to like or dislike. So we are leaning into the like. So then I took a risk, and it's going to be interesting. I don't know if you've seen the brand new one. The brand new one, Nobody Loves a Dirty Girl. I just put it up yesterday, and I'm not promoting it. Well, this is crazy. The video format, not the shorts format, the video format has over 2.5 thousand views in just over 24 hours, and
Wow.
the shorts around 1,000. And this is without a single promotion. So I'm going to go, okay. Now, will I eventually promote it? I might if it starts to boom, because then I can build off the boom. So what you do is you set the tone by seeing what you do, kind of with help. Then you take the risk and go, okay, will they like it without the promotion? And so far, and our retention on those which means somebody doesn't watch it, somebody watches the full thing. So it's averaging out really good. And that's the other thing, your retention rate. We have a very good retention rate overall. If your retention rate's anything above 25%, that's actually better than you think. Most shorts and videos, the retention rate's like in the 5 percentile. Like nobody gets a lot of retention. We have ones in the 80 percentile, 70 percentile, 70, 60. That's pretty good. So our lowest is in the 20s. Most people's lowest is in the ones. So the people who stick around, we're getting good response. So that's how I would do it. And I think anyone out there who's younger or older wants to do this, it wants to test the theory of a topic that makes it different or crazy. You do that because now I'm going to be able to put the full court pressure on these safe distributors and people and go, what audience I don't have? Are you kidding? What are you talking about? I don't have what you have, and I built an audience. What's your excuse? So that's the difference. And so I'm not going to be easy to be manipulated because I already proved I can create an audience. Now, if I have your backing, we take what we have and multiply it by 100. What's that going to be? So that's how you do it. You got to be willing to take a hit, and you got to be very insightful and realize and introspective and go, is this something people want? When I went to the LA film market last year, I was just going just to feel it out. I didn't care. I don't suck up to anybody. But it was really funny because I walked into one room and I'm like looking around after this guy was talking to somebody, and I was being kind of a smart ass, but I went like, so nice to meet you. I go, what do you do here? And he's like, excuse me. And it was like Lionsgate. I'm like, what do you do? He's telling me, I'm like, that's cool. And he's like, what are you doing here? I go, oh, I have a great idea for a story that sucks. And he's like, sucks. I go, yeah, nobody's going to really want to see it, but it's like it's a car crash. You're going to watch it. So I started telling him about it and everything. And I said, but boy, I really feel bad for you. And he goes, why do you feel bad? It was really funny. I have the greatest story of all time. Are you ready? And I heard this. Ready? A guy is a cop and he leaves his hometown to go to the city, but he burns out and he goes home to get a vacation. But while he's there, somebody gets murdered and then it brings back his past. And I'm like, wow, yeah, I haven't heard that one before. And this guy looks at me and he gets all stony face and he starts to crack up. And he goes, "Oh God, thank you. Somebody knows what we go through." I go, "Yeah, I do, because I recruited high school kids, and everyone was the next coming of, Cheryl Swoops or Candace Parker. Like, it's like, no, dude, you're not. Like, you're not." And so that's why, and even in newspaper business, "Oh, I have the story for you. My neighbor did this with his dog." It's like, okay. So when I heard it, when I was walking these halls, I'm going, "What? No offense, God bless you. I mean, you're trying, but that's not a don't if you try to sell it as original, you're going to lose the audience. That's not original. Find something to use within it to create a vehicle for a sales pitch. They don't. My sales pitches, no one's ever done this before in the sense of the way it's delivered. And I could back it up. That's it. So if these people want to make a film, try that. Sample the menu. We were putting all that out before we even had the film cast. I was putting it out there before we even had our stars. I was like, let's see what they do. Okay, we're good. That's how it works. So thank you for letting me explain that, because hopefully if somebody's watching this, they can take that menu or that recipe and try it. And hey, feel free to hit me up and let me know about your success story, because I'm not one of those. I want everyone to be good.
No, Alan, that's incredible. And I'm sure, like with everything we work on, it's when we go through it, we just realize, man, I wish the next time I do this, I'm never going to do that again. And hopefully your film gets better. But also, too, just the risk that you're taking, you're not waiting for someone to come to you, you're going to them, which is encouraging. And I think with a lot of the people out there that want to tell stories like we do, it's just that fear of whatever it is they're having. It's just pretty much like you said, it's just you against the world. And the only one that's going to cheerlead you onto success as yourself. We're going to see how this unfolds to come on. So this is not one and done. I can assure you there's probably many more conversations, but we have this segment now in the podcast called the rapid fire round. And we kind of just get the taste of, who's out there. So if you're ready to go, I'm going to throw out the first one for you.
Bring it.
And that's going to be, what is your favorite film of all time?
That's always been debatable. It's kind of like my music collection is my passion, but it wavers. But I think the more I study it, I think all about it.
Okay.
I mean, you're not going to find many films like that. The cast was incredible, and the script. Are you kidding? How about a milkshake? I mean, come on, man. I mean, it's so good, and it stands up. It's just so good. And even Marilyn was in it, and she was rock star in it when she was. I mean, the whole thing is just pristine. The only thing close to it, I would say, is Seven, but that's it.
Nice.
One filmmaking myth you'd love to kill.
Filmmaking myth after doing it. From outside the world, that it's not that it's that's easy. Nope. Because a lot of people look at, oh, what do they got? Some of those people really earn their money, and some don't, as we know. But just even paying a modest amount for what we got, we paid our people. We paid them pretty well, considering what their normally is around in these areas. But seeing what they did for what they got, and those two kids practice, I think, 2 or 3 times a week for 2 months, and it shows. You said it, you saw it.
Yeah.
They, even when I asked them to if they wanted to improv a scene, they're like, "No, we're good. We got this locked up." And okay, but they put the work in. So anyone who tries to tell me or that these people don't put the work in, yeah, there are always those exceptions, but the real good work came by real good work.
What would you say is the one film every director should study?
Ugh, I don't know. I've been seeing a lot of films lately. I always have. I have a huge collection. Um, I really like everything prior to CGI, all that, because I think that took more talent. I had a recent rewatch within the last like 6 months. I watched the Ben-Hur film from, the original Ben-Hur. You got to be kidding me. you just got to be kidding me. Because that was all real, and the actors were actually riding in the chariots, and it's like, good God, there's a certain place for authenticity, you know, and if you can't nail that shot the way you want it because you need to do that, rewrite the scene, do something different to get the same message across, but stay authentic. And then I studied it afterward. I'm like, Lord in heaven. So yeah, that was something else. Let's just say. So that's a movie I would definitely tell people to take a look at.
Your last and final question before we wrap up.
Yep.
Why do stories matter?
They matter because they could break or make a situation. If it's told badly, you can really, reset the audience in a negative pathway. If you do it right, you can put them on a reset to a better place. So I think a story matters because people are always looking for things. Even with our film or with our series, the younger people around here that I've talked to, that they've just been like, I got to see this because they know that's giving them something to try to use for their own life. But a story matters because people are looking for always something else. And what irritates me is when people use a story as a vehicle for an agenda that benefits them and not the people watching it. And that's where it's the problem. So if you're going to tell a story, remember you got people watching. Do the job right. Okay? Don't do your BS stuff. I'm not about that. Don't lie to the audience essentially.
No, thanks again. So everyone, this is Alan Dale. He has a project that's in post that's kind of going to come out here. It's called Never Gonna Leave You. Keep him on your radar. We'll add his contact info on the bottom where you can find him on YouTube and find him on Instagram. And definitely, he has a great story to tell. So stay tuned. Thank you for everyone for listening to the Mesa International Film Festival podcast. If you enjoyed today's conversation, subscribe wherever you get podcasts, leave a review, and share the episode where a filmmaker, creative, or movie lover in your life. You can follow us online for episode clips, behind the scenes content, and future conversations with people building Arizona's film industry. Until next time, keep creating, keep directing, and keep telling stories. Bye.
Bye, guys.